segment 3 on intrapersonal boundaries. This is the segment where I'm going to talk with you about the skill set of compassionate empathy. Remember, we can feel several ways towards someone who is hurting. Sympathy, where we feel sad or sorry for their pain. Cognitive empathy, where we simply understand what motivates them or drives them. Emotional empathy, which is where we really kind of crawl down into that dark hole with them and suffer with them, which is a powerful way to connect, but it also can wear us out. And this is compassionate empathy. And it looks more like when your friend or acquaintance or loved one or client, patient is in that dark hole and suffering, you do go ahead and climb down towards them, but instead of suffering with them and kind of curling up in a ball on the floor with them, it's almost like you are mindfully present, you are reaching out to help them, and you can help kind of pull them out of the hole because you have compassion, which galvanizes you and gives you energy to actually alleviate their suffering. So how does it work? What is it? It is a skill set. And again, practice this when you are not in a highly emotional situation because it takes a little brain power. It has several steps. The first step is actively listen. Listen to the person beyond the words, not just what they're saying, but what may be really behind that comment, behind that statement, behind that energy, behind that emotion. What's really going on with them? What has happened to them? What do they really need? Second, stay out of judgment. Judgment activates our fight, flight, or freeze stress response. Always, always. So when we judge, we get a hit to our stress response system. So do your best to refrain from any kind of judgmental attitude. Third, try to figure out their perspective. Try to put yourself in their place. Now, that doesn't mean that you agree with their perspective. We are capable of simultaneously holding more than one perspective. We can hold many complex thoughts and understandings in our mind at the same time. So if you're struggling to try to understand their perspective or connect to it in a big sense, maybe their life is just so different from yours, narrow it down, narrow it down, narrow it down to the tiniest emotion or the tiniest point of emotion. So are they feeling fear? You know what it's like to feel fear. Okay, you can relate to that then. Which leads to the fourth part of the skill set, which is really trying to discern what emotion or emotions they're feeling and try to go beyond mad, bad, sad, and glad. Like really drill down. Is it discouragement? Is it irritation? Is it fear? Are they feeling many of the emotions of grief? Are they sad? Are they a little uneasy? Like what is the emotion? What are those emotions? And then the next step then is step number 5, which is validating those emotions. So you've actively listened, you've stayed out of judgment, you've considered their perspective, you've named some of their emotions to yourself at least. The fifth thing is validate those emotions for them, and you can do that verbally or non-verbally. You could say something as simple as, I can see you're really scared right now, or this must be incredibly discouraging, or many people might feel that way. Don't be afraid to get it wrong. You might say, you seem a little uneasy, and the person might say, I'm not uneasy, I'm pissed. That's okay. The point is you're attempting, they know you're attempting, and that shows caring and support. So stick with them, listen more, ask open-ended questions. The final part of the skill set of compassionate empathy is reassure the person, let them know they're not alone. And you can do that in a variety of ways. It can be communicated simply by your presence with them during that time. You could actually say something like, I'm gonna stick with you and help you figure this out. If it's a time-limited circumstance, you could say something like, for the next hour, I'm gonna be with you and I'm gonna do my best to help you get through this. Whatever it is, communicate that they are not alone. Fascinating research shows us that one of the key differences between some really bad experience being encoded in the memory as a trauma versus simply a really bad experience that you got through is your own perception of feeling alone. So when people have something awful happen, but they aren't alone in the suffering, then it is less likely to be encoded in their memory as a trauma and have all the negative after effects of that. So the skill set of compassionate empathy Actively listen while you stay out of judgment, while you try to understand their perspective, while you try to discern their emotions, while you communicate that their emotions are valid, while you let them know they're not alone. Sounds like a lot, it is a lot, but you can do it in a difficult situation. And as you do it, again, it will engage that prefrontal cortex in such a way, it's hard work, that it will keep you from going into your own stress response. And let me tell you, at the end of a time of providing support for a person, whether you're in emotional empathy and literally in that pit with them and suffering with them, or whether you've climbed down into the pit with them and you aren't suffering, but you're mindfully present and providing caring, intentional, supportive, compassionate presence, they often can't tell the difference. All they can tell is that they were cared for. You will be able to tell the difference because with emotional empathy, you will feel exhausted. With compassionate empathy, you will feel motivated to alleviate suffering and galvanized to help create change so that there is less suffering in the future. So there you go. That is the skill set of compassionate empathy. And I hope that this practice and this series of 3 segments on intrapersonal boundaries, the shield, and compassionate empathy will help you live well today.